Good morning, guys. My name is Nonema Tigela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to talk about the misconduct that could have happened when it comes to the concealment of the statement. But before we do that, guys, please make sure you do not forget to like, to share, to comment, and most importantly, please make sure you are subscribed on the channel. Please make sure you are watching the videos up until the end and you are watching the ads that are coming through. When you are doing that, you will be supporting this channel financially and in numbers. Thank you so much. So if this concealment was deliberate, it isn't just unethical, it's potential criminal. Under Section 34 of the Criminal Procedure Act, hiding a witness's arrest can amount to defeating or obstructing the ends of justice. And it doesn't stop there. The investigators face misconduct and disciplinary action. Prosecutors face professional breaches under the NPA Code of Conduct. If proven this isn't a mistake, it's an illegality, the kind that collapses cases. So the Senzo Meyiwa case is being faced with that situation right now. If the state deliberately concealed a witness's arrest in the Senzo Meyiwa trial, we are no longer talking about mistakes, oversights, and administration gaps. We are talking about crime, a criminal offense under Section 34 of the Criminal Procedure Act, defeating or obstructing the ends of justice. And if that is proven, the entire prosecution team, investigators, prosecutors, could be staring down professional misconduct, disciplinary charges, and even criminal liability. This is not a small, this is not technical, this is trial breaking. If anyone intentionally interferes with an investigation or court process, including by hiding material facts that affect evidence, that is defeating the ends of justice. Not maybe, not possible, legally it qualifies. A concealed arrest is not just information. It affects the voluntariness of a Section 204 statement, the credibility of the witness, the admissibility of key evidence, and the defense constitutional right to full disclosure. That is why this is explosive. Prosecutors have a constitutional duty under Shabalala versus AG 1996 to disclose anything that weakens their own case, including facts that impinge their own witnesses. Failing to disclose an arrest, that's the highest form of narrative engineering, building a case while hiding the very information that undermines it. For investigators, it's violation of SEP's standing orders. For prosecutors, it's a breach of the NPA Code of Conduct. If intentional, their career are in danger. Their careers are in danger. Let's be clear about one thing. If the arrest was concealed, the state's house of cards collapses. No clean Section 204 statement, no credibility, no voluntariness, no admissibility, no hostile story, no narrative. And if the court finds deliberate concealment, then the defense isn't just challenging the witness. They are challenging the legality of the state's conduct. This is the kind of the revelation that kills prosecutors or prosecutions. If the concealment was deliberate, it's not a clerical mistake. It's not a misunderstanding. It's illegal, and it may not be the single most devastating blow to the case, but it may be the only thing that will collapse it on the ground, the entire Senzo Meyiwa trial. So that is what is happening when it comes to this case, because we do not understand why would a Guininda that talks so much keep quiet about that information. Why a concealed arrest destroyed the state voluntariness? So that's why of Section 204 statement. Was there even a Section 204 statement? But Kwabini claims otherwise. And also Ukwabini doesn't understand these things. That's the other situation that we are faced with. Ukabini doesn't understand these things as he should, not as he should, as they were never explained to him. This triggers professional misconduct for investigators and prosecutors. And how non-disclosure violates, we do have an authority that deals with that. And I'm hoping Judge Rota is going to use all of that in his, as he is busy listening to everything. And this conduct could collapse the state entire case. And I hope it does, because the case is every day being exposed as manufactured. And the defense now held the most powerful weapon in the courtroom. And this is not just administration mistakes. No, Ugininda referred to Ugwabini a lot. Ugininda referred to Ugwabini a lot. That is why this has a potential of illegality with a massive consequences. And this is not something that just needs to be concealed, of course. That is why I think most of us who are watching the case don't understand. We really do not understand how can Gininda, an entire Gininda, how can Gininda hide such? Because he was standing there. I remember there was a day Gininda spoke for straight 30 minutes. They allowed him 30 minutes straight. He was dwe, and then he did not mention this. And he kept on, because he kept on referring on Gwabini's so-called statement, because he wanted the defense to be curious about that Gwabini statement. He wanted the defense to be curious about that Gwabini statement, but fortunately, they were never curious. They did not care. So as a result, Gwabini's so-called statement was never handed up. No one in the defense actually referred to it. There is a lot that is not making sense, but we are going to go through all the videos and up until where Gwabini ended yesterday. It's such a sad situation, guys. Such a sad situation. Mugai suffered a lot. Mugai suffered a lot, and they really abused him. They beat him up. They're beating. Clearly, it's an order of business in those places. The beating of potential suspects or even people that are supposed to be framed. Because now we can see this is about framing the accused, and we are still going to make videos pertaining to how did he escape, and then number 2 entered, which is Bongani Dance, because it looked like from the story that he is telling that he was supposed to be accused number 2. And Ndanzi was conducted or arrested after he was arrested. So how did he become? Yeah, guys, it's a lot. It's a lot. We are going to find out in our next video. But one thing that I want to know, I want us to talk about in the comment section. Do you see what Gininda was trying to do here? Do you see what criminality is involved here? Do you remember when Gininda kept saying prosecutorial-driven investigation? Now those things are popping out. Now those things are popping out, and it does not look good even for Baloyi. And do you see why Baloyi was asking the judge to read Section 203 for witness protection and stuff, Section 204 witnesses to Gwabini? Because he wanted to intimidate. We were not wrong. We were not wrong when we say, no, man, this sounds like intimidation. We were not wrong about Baloyi. He was doing exactly that, intimidating the witness that day, because he knew that should Gwabini start talking, a lot of things are going to come out. And indeed, a lot of things came out. Gwabini, at some point yesterday, got very pissed off with when it comes to Baloyi, and Baloyi was giving him an evil look. We are going to talk about all of that in the next video, in the next videos, not one video. But what I wish we could understand, this is big, guys. This is big. This is no longer so small. This is big. Let's talk with comment section. I want to hear your views. What are your thoughts? Let me know. Drop your thoughts there, and let's have a discussion. What do you think must happen to these people? Clearly now people were being framed here. The accused, all 5 men, they were being framed here. Now it's no longer a what if they were being framed. It is out there. They were being framed. I'll see you on our next video. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.